Decolonization is a political process that refers to the undoing of colonialism, which is the exploitation and subjugation of a territory, people, or resources by a foreign power. This process seeks to dismantle the structures and policies that maintain colonial rule and to restore sovereignty and autonomy to the colonized people. Now, decolonization is the word of the day, right? Because we agree that we're in a colony, right? And we must also agree that capitalism and imperialism is our enemy, right? We can't buy our way out of this. We're gonna be able to vote our way out of this. We're gonna be able to rap our way out of this. Eventually, we're gonna have to get physical, right? And it don't mean that everybody gotta, put your dukes up. It means that you're gonna have to use that manual labor, right? In order to nation build. We got people talking about nation building, but they scared to get dirt under their nails. They talking about nation building, they talking about there's bugs over there. We be tripping. Our people are confused. Our people are so confused that they actually think that they're thinking. And they would argue with you, and they would debate you, and they want to fight you because you are doing. Theory without practice is dead. It's nothing. It's nothing. We rap so well, we the greatest rappers alive because that's what we do. We could talk that jive, right? But when it comes to the work, there ain't no work. What Malcolm say? We bleed when the white man says bleed. But it's time for us to shed blood for our people. We ain't got no blood. We talked about a war, and we know about the war terms. We know Lyndon Johnson. A lot of folks credit him for the Voter Registration Act. I was just in Selma hosting something for Bloody Sunday, that commemoration where they beat our brothers down, brothers and sisters and children on the bridge, 500 something people. These white folks on horseback, these pigs, beat us down, beat old ladies down, so on and so forth. And they said, well, we're gonna pass the Voter Registration Act. And everybody was cool. This the same dude that he came with the whole war on poverty, but then immediately after he came with the war on crime, the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act of 1968. Then you got Nixon. They used to call him Tricky Dick. Yeah, Nixon, Tricky Nixon. He talked about fighting the war against the enemy within. Who was he talking about? Huh? Was he talking about white folks? Was he talking about the Patriots? He the one that came with the whole war on drugs. And then of course Reagan came with his mission. And Clinton remixed what Lyndon B. Johnson had. And Bush came with the war on terror. And all of it was about the expansion of a police state and what we call enslavement. Some people call it the new Jim Crow. It's the same thing, it's just remixed. They ain't nothing new about it. They might have made it more palatable for you because they know that we like the perception of power opposed to power, right? The rap group, the hip hop group, Little Brother, they had a song, and in their song, one of the quotes was, do you really want to look good or do you want to, do you really want to win or do you want to look good losing? We always look so damn good losing. We're impressed with nothing, right? We will, whatever we can get to make it seem like we're advancing, then we're cool with that. I remember back in the day, everybody used to wear the jewelry, the gold chains and everything, and the rings and all that. And poor black folks would wear everything they had on them. One robbery and all that's empty. You understand what I'm saying? They was buying it from these Asian stores. And it was fool's gold, it was pyrite. But they didn't know it. They was paying $800, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. And that's just folks I knew in the projects. You in the projects with nothing, but you still stunting. You can't pay the light bill. You got an eviction notice. You on the bus, but you look good. That's how we roll. That's not how we roll, right? It's a different time. This is John Ehrlichman, Nixon's former president assistant for domestic affairs. He talked about, you want to know what this drug war, this was an interview, he talked about, you want to know what the drug war was really about. And basically he said that Nixon's White House had two enemies. It was the anti-war left and black people. This is what Nixon's man is talking about. It's not me, it's not a conspiracy theory. I didn't pull this out my hat. He said, we knew we couldn't make it illegal to be anti-war or black, but we knew that by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. He said, did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. War. When you talk about the United States government being at war, when you talk about the United Nations, when you talk about NATO, these cronies for the United States, when you talk about France, and you talk about England and some of these other criminals out here, this is about domination, destruction, and death. The one thing that we fail to realize, and I think that part of the reason that we're in the conditions we're in today, besides fear, is that we're still looking at this beast from as if they're humane, if they have some humanity in them, right? So we look at them as if they wouldn't do that. They can't do that. That's the thing I love when I'm talking to people. They can't do that. We have rights. We have rights. Imam Jamil, formerly H. Rap Brown, he's locked up right now. They snatched him up. They kidnapped him. Dr. Mutulu Shakur is just getting out. Mumia Abu Jamal just denied an evidentiary hearing yesterday. All these folks, no evidence, no scientific evidence, no physical evidence, but yet they've been sent upstate. Why? Because they want to make an example out of us, right? They want to make an example for us. They want us to understand that as the FBI talked about, the youth need to know that if they're going to be revolutionaries, they'll be dead revolutionaries, right? What you're doing right now is a revolutionary act like the brother was talking about. So you might as well go all the way out. Don't stop there. They're already going to criminalize you. They're already going to demonize you, right? You already can't use your own seeds, right? It's an act of war. Gentrification is genocide. It is an act of war. It is about destroying communities, destroying families. And we have to be clear, we don't need no nice terms for brutal realities. This is about murder. This is about our annihilation. This is about our extermination. That's why they're rushing things like artificial intelligence. Because they want you to believe that you are obsolete. They want you to believe that you have no value. But I'm here to tell you, your most valuable asset, besides life itself, is your time. It's the one thing you can't get back. Money will come and go, but you can't get no time back, right? They know that, and they will waste your time. And you have people in the so-called community that will waste your time. We have what we call thieves of time. They'll steal your time, you can't even get it back. They'll have you caught out on some BS. You sitting there going back and forth debating with some clown on social media who's probably a plant. It's probably a plant. And you sitting there going back with, they said such and such. Imam Jamil said, the white man to tell you that, no, you don't want freedom, you want to marry my daughter. Now you going back and forth arguing about whether or not you want to marry their daughter. This is how confused we are. I like this. This moves kind of quick. I'm working on a co-authoring a book called African Art of War with one of my comrades, Balogun Ojetade. He's the founder of the African Martial Arts Institute, and he's also co-chair of the Urban Survival Preparedness Institute. And so the next few slides are going to be about different titles that we're using in the book, but we're going to utilize them in a way that works for the organizer, right? Because when we're talking about war, Again, war is not just two opposing forces with guns. There's all types of war. There's psychological war. There's nutricide. There's different types of genocide. Or, there's war is war. Everything that comes with it. So political education, political education is important because of the fact that if you don't know who and what you're fighting for, you'll be confused about who and what you're against. So when we talk about white supremacy, you'll get folks talking about, well, the cops in Memphis that beat Tyree Nichols down was black. We'll be confused. We'll think that they're not operating under a white supremacist construct. We'll act like that they're not the running dogs for the state. So with white supremacy, you don't need white folks to run up in your neighborhood. You got Negroes who are trained. You got Negroes that come destroy your gardens. They'll complain. We over here planting all this stuff over here. There's going to be some rodents over here. They'll be wanting to shut you down for feeding people. Self-hate. So that political education, again, is important because we need to be clear about who we for and who we against. Master your terrain. When organized, it's important to understand the importance of communities' value, power dynamics, and lived experiences as key factors in successful community organizing. What does that mean? It means that oftentimes as organizers, we go to these different communities and we're so arrogant that we think that we know what the people want better than the people know. You set up shop. I mean, we have more respect for street organizations or so-called gangs than we do the people themselves. Because even with Bloods and Crips, they're not just going to set up and say, I'm going to just set up right here. You just can't go set up on somebody's block. But as organizers, you step on in, you got your 501(c) or C3, whatever it is. Oh, that's new to me. You tap on in there and you set up shop and you telling the people what they need. You don't know nothing about the community's values. You don't know about the traditions. You don't have relationships with nobody. I know a particular organization, they set up shop, they beefing with everybody in the neighborhood. And it's the neighborhood's fault. This is the arrogance. That right there, that is a throwback to white supremacy. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like the settlers, they come in too and they're the missionaries. We're going to save the savages. You Negroes need this. And we're going to set it up right here. They're not in tune with the power dynamics. Who are the people that have influence in the neighborhood, in the community? That's who you want to get with. One thing about organization, we have the FTP movement, but the CIFU movement is the larger umbrella. And the beauty of what it is that we do is that we not only work together and we not only show each other love, but we identify the organizations with strength, right? Much like what you all doing here when you're talking about this alliance, right? You have different forces that are coming together for a common cause. That's how we're supposed to operate, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? You have organizations talking about, well, we doing this. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You ever get in a convo with another organizer and they telling you what they doing? Oh, we over here, every time you say, well, we about to do, well, we doing this and what we doing, who the hell is we? We supposed to be 13, 14% of the US population, but we got like 8 million organizations just in Detroit. So it's like what Malcolm talked about, the fingers in the hand, the fingers in the fist. You ain't knocking nobody out with your pinky finger. You know what I'm saying? So with this whole power dynamic, again, being clear about who the folks are that have been putting in that work, who are the elders in the community, right? I slipped up today because I was supposed to ask the elders for permission to speak. So I apologize and I hope that I do right. But not only that, had I put it together, and I'm grateful to be the keynote, but I wouldn't have went on after Baba. That's not for nothing else, but just the fact that his wisdom, he's been here before I was. You understand what I'm saying? And that's not a disrespect to you all. I respect the organizers, right? But I'm just saying, he should be honored and revered, right? So I don't ever want anyone to mistake, because we have all these folks who talking about, you know, they're leaders and they're the prince of this. I'm the prince of Pan-Africanism when I'm the... all this far out shit. They out here building schools. They ain't show y'all a number 2 pencil or a chalkboard. Y'all just pouring y'all money in there. Give them the money. I'm sorry, I know I'm getting off course. Stealth organizing, controlling the narrative. One thing we was talking about with one of my comrades, Daruba, we was talking about how we have to organize our own press conferences. And we give the media what we want to give them. The state, the media, the press is the propaganda arm of the establishment. They're not friends, they one. Siamese twins. They say we together on this track. That's who they are. That's their goal. So they're gonna take whatever you give them and they're gonna flip it and mix it up. They're gonna water it down. We being such a hungry people, we just happy with they talking about the farm on the news today. No, the hell with that. We hold our own press conference with media that we respect and that respect us. And then we send them the clip. You got some questions? We'll give you the answers back. Is that wrong? This right here was an actual press conference.
Wow. Questions from the co-chairs, Ruben Memahad and Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney.
One could argue that the name of the group, the Coalition to Combat Police Terrorism, is a challenging name, perhaps a slightly incendiary name.
Oh, let me answer that.
And let me finish my question. And there's been criticism that anger in the community fueled the killing of the 2 police officers in New York. Do you have a responsibility to exercise restraint in terms of that kind of rhetoric?
No. Let me be very clear. That's why we share a coalition here. You see, I'm going to say what's true, whether you like it or not, or whether you think it's combative or not. First of all, the United States uses war terms in almost every policy that it implements, domestic and foreign. What's the war on terror? What's the war on drugs? What's the war on crime? What's the war on poverty? War is it's like a belligerent term. Would you agree? So the use of terms, to combat means that, to combat. We're not here to determine other people's political agenda. We're not here to tell other people how to think. We don't represent the politics of the Gardner family. We don't represent the politics of the Brown family. They're in grief. They lost their child. It launched a movement. They are not our political leaders. This coalition says what it is, to combat police terrorism, because the police are terrorizing us and have been terrorizing us for what, about 400 years now? They're the descendants of the Patty Rollers. Remember them from New York? They're the descendants of the Ku Klux Klan. They're the descendants of the militias that used to go hunt slaves and run them down. That's what the police, that's how they police our community. Huh? If you think that history is not worthy of the term combat, then you need to be 12 years a slave. So yes, we don't have no obligation to tone down our rhetoric. Who do we have an obligation to? CNN? To you? To white folks? Do we have an obligation in this society as the victims of white supremacy in this country to reform white supremacy? Do we have an obligation to make you feel better about yourself and better about your country? No. The coalition is to combat police terrorism.
Do you think there are any police?
That was an actual press conference that we had. That's our organization, one of our organizations, the National Coalition to Combat Police Terrorism, which is co-chaired by former U.S. Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney and former, veteran BLA co-founder Daruba Memahad. So this is an example of what I'm talking about. We know that they wasn't going to air that. So if we do invite the press, we have our press out there as well, and we record both sides. Because when the 6 o'clock news came, it was a whole different story. A group of terrorists led by such and such, boom, boom, boom. So we was able to combat what it is with our own propaganda. This is how we got to move. Never have a press conference when you're not recording it. You always, if you're going to deal with the press, with their press, make sure you document what's being said and stick to the script, right? And we don't allow everyone to just get up in front of the camera just because they got a mouth. We have to organize without relying on digital platforms. Social media is state sponsored. I don't care. You can say, well, TikTok is from state sponsored, right? A few weeks ago, our platform, Black Power Media, we got a strike on our channel. So we were suspended, shut down for a week. And folks panicked. Oh, what you gonna do? Oh man, how you gonna do? We're organizers. Let me tell y'all something, man. I'm a co-founder of Black Power Media, and I don't even like YouTube. I don't even like what I do. I do this because it's necessary to get the job done. We got to utilize whatever tools we can utilize. It break my heart when I'm in the community and folks like, oh yeah, I know you on YouTube. I'm like, damn, that's all I get. out of all my work, I'm just a YouTuber. One of my comrades' daughters saw me was watching me on YouTube. They said, oh, that's my man such and such. Nah, that ain't him, that's Kalonji, he's a YouTuber. We have to build relationships and networks, right? We got to take it back old school. One of the things I was talking to Abil Doon, Abby, last night, canvassing, going door to door, knowing your community, right? If you ain't doing that, you ain't doing nothing. You're not organizing. How you organizing? You ain't organizing in the community. A lot of these folks is ambulance chasers. Soon as such and such get shot, they over there. This program's going on, they over here. Here come Cop City, they over here. We got to get a grip. We got to decide what side of the barricades we're going to be on. We have to make sure that when we talk about community organizing, we start in the home, the neighborhood, but most of us forgot what a neighborhood is. Most of us don't even know what a community is. So if you don't know something, then it don't exist. Then we talk about growing from there. Right now, they got us chasing our own tail. We already know that the police are going to murder someone. There's someone today that will be murdered by the police. I'm sorry. You don't want to hear it like that, but that's just the reality. The police here in the United States kill between 1,000 and 1,500 people a year, every year. In 10 years, more people have been murdered than some of the residents of certain small towns. In College Park, Georgia, I think the population is somewhere around 14,000 and something. So within 10 years, you can wipe out the whole College Park just with the number of people that was murdered by the police. So we expect that. We can't be reactionary, right? We can't be reactionary. We have to prepare. If you don't prepare, then you lose. We have to set up designated community info hubs for the sake of organizing demos, teach-ins, and programs. What do I mean by that? We have places we frequent, barbershops, certain stores, Black-owned businesses, so on and so forth. We have to put the word out so when the people come through, listen, there's going to be a demo over such and such, blah, blah, blah. Not just throw it on Facebook. You against the state, but then you showing the state, we're going to be mad over here tomorrow. Then you bugging out talking about the police. There's a lot of police out there, you think? I mean, we be bugging out. Sister called me a couple months ago talking about something. Yeah, brother, I just want to know how you, where do I go to get a permit to protest? I said, I'm sorry, sister, what'd you say? Yeah, brother, I just want to know, where do I get a permit to protest? I said, I don't understand your question. She said, what don't you understand? I said, sister, for me, if I'm upset, I'm not asking the people I'm upset about to give me permission to be upset. That defeats the purpose. I've been organizing literally 37 years. 37 years. And guess what? I don't even know where to go get a permit from. I've organized all over the country. I don't care about no damn permit. When they get there, I want them to know that we upset. You know what I'm saying? Now I know, the nonprofit world a little different. Some of y'all get some grants and everything. Look, we can't do that. I'm with y'all. But the bottom line is when you upset, you have to be positively displeased, right? Anyway, but setting up these info hubs, we gotta, that's a way to keep infiltration down. Right now, coming from Atlanta, we have, it's a strange thing going on. Of course, Atlanta is known as the Black Mecca. Y'all have heard that before, right? Mecca's a desert, so I unite with that. For the first time ever, I'm seeing white youth leading the rallies and the marches in the street. That's strange to me, because when I was out on the street regularly, white folks would come out there, but we let them know out the gate, you can get down what we doing, but you don't run shit. Don't talk too loud if we don't say don't talk. You know what I'm saying? And I wish you would break something out here, because we got babies out here. But now what's happening is you can't tell them from the state, because the infiltrators are sprinkled in. Now, I'm not trying to knock nobody because of the fact that some people are like, you speaking out. And I'm not speaking out, I'm just telling y'all the facts. We look at Cop City in the beginning. I noticed there was a number of folks that were being arrested, and they were saying, okay, this one's from Seattle, Washington, and Kennebunkport, Maine, and these are white folks coming to Atlanta to fight for, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of strange and breaking up shit. So we have to be careful with who we organizing with, right? I know some of y'all believe that your enemy's enemy is your friend, but sometimes your enemy's enemy is your enemy too. I ain't gonna be long, y'all. Work with me. Again, communication and coordinate and communicate and coordinate. We already know, everybody knows about COINTELPRO. You know what I'm saying? We know about counterinsurgency. It is not over. Change names, change forms. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, if you're an organization that's been around 50 years or more, and you ain't had no problems with the state, then I question who you are. You understand what I'm saying? Kwame Ture said, if I'm chasing my enemy and my enemy ain't chasing me, then what am I doing wrong? And that's not a badge of honor. I'm just saying, you out here doing what you say you doing. Nobody got arrested? Let me stop for y'all start thinking about organizations and whatnot and thinking I'm pointing fingers. A lot of the people that we see out here are operatives of the state. I talked about ambulance chasers. You have folks out here, certain attorneys. Every time somebody's shot, they on the scene. I mean, how you gonna win a case if you every damn where? Huh? I don't want an attorney that's everywhere, but the thing is, our people are so desperate. Our people are so desperate that just to have a figurehead represent you is like a victory. We don't need any more figureheads. We need victory. This woman right here is one of my OGs, one of my elders, one of my ancestors, Ia Fulani Sunni Ali. She was one of my generals. Lead from the front. As an African in a position of leadership, it is essential to lead by example. Do not ask your comrades to do anything that you are not willing to do yourself. Oftentimes we see organizations and the leadership, they don't know how to get dirty. They want you to clean the toilets, they want you to do the grunt work, but they don't get down in the streets. You know what I'm saying? When the police come, they're never there. When it's time to go to court, they're never there. But when it's time to be on the news, they're front and center, right? We have to lead by example. If you call yourself a leader, or if anyone else calls you a leader, we have to make sure that we're showing improvement. Community control of public safety. Now, a lot of folks was jumping up and down a few years ago talking about defund the police. It's a very ridiculous statement. We're in a capitalist society. We agree that it's a police state. We're in a militarized industrial complex, over 900 military bases around the world, and we talking about defund the police. Does that make sense to you all? Just take the money from the guns and put them over there. Okay. That's like asking a bear to be a vegetarian. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I know you're a pit bull, but I'm gonna talk to you, we're gonna groom you up, we're gonna give you a manicure and put on a bow tie, and we're just gonna bring you around the babies. Because you're cute now. It's not gonna happen. We have to take control of our own public safety. Now, oftentimes it's easier said than done. Folks are like, you know, how do you do that? It's called organizing, right? We have to put our decision-making powers into the community's public safety and wellness. That's why it's important to organize these residents, right? So we talk about decentralizing the police. When we talk about decentralizing the police, we're talking about getting rid of these police chiefs. Because what you'll find is in the police state of America, of the United States, a cop would get fired over here and be rehired down the street. The chief of police, who you all bigged up in Memphis because she was this black woman, Black Girl Magic, bigged her up because of the fact that you said, well, you know, she fired them dudes right away. But she's from Atlanta. She was over the Red Dogs at one point. The Red Dogs were responsible for murdering 92-year-old Captain Johnston, right? She was fired in Atlanta because of the fact that she had a friend on the force, a subordinate, whose husband was involved in some pedophilia. He's involved in child pornography. And she told the other officers to stand down because that's her friend. They found out what was going on and she ended up getting fired. And she ended up through the police unions, which is the most ruthless group of individuals in the country. They got her a job back. So she ended up moving to Durham. She got a job in Durham, and then she moved up into Memphis. And everybody was applauding her because she moved so swiftly and so quickly. She just didn't want everybody to know what the deal was. You know what I'm saying? Again, we don't get caught up in black faces in high places. We have to be clear about who's who and what's what. Our enemy's our enemy, regardless of how they look, regardless of their gender. You understand what I'm saying? We have to figure out what side of the barricades they're on. With decentralization, we're talking about putting together police boards that are elected by the people, right? Sort of like the school board, you know? We vote in who's the representatives for that particular board. And through that, these are the people that we deputize to hire the police. The police that work in our communities, we believe that there should be a residency clause. You should live in the community that you serve for a minimum of 3 years, right? If Baba's a police officer, it's less likely that he's gonna abuse my son because we all go to the same church, we go to the same supermarket, we're in the same neighborhood, and Baba here, he like, yo man, I can't believe you beat, you know what I'm saying? You watch this boy grow up. You know what I'm saying? Or at the least you might lump him upside his head and send him home and look, he over here, you know, get him in order, I don't want to take him in. That's what community is about. Any of y'all remember that type of community? Then when you knew the police officers in the neighborhood, anybody remember that? Yeah, I mean, we don't remember it, it's a whole nother world. But we're talking about being able to have a residency clause so that you can feel more comfortable going outside, living, so on and so forth. Putting a referendum on the ballot to make sure that we decentralize. So along with that, one of the things that our organization does is we have a brother who's a combat medic. And he was a combat medic for over 26 years. And he doesn't just talk about, you know, first responders or whatever, that particular job or position. He trains brothers and sisters on how to stop bleeding, how to deal with certain medical crises, right? so that we don't have to call the police, we don't have to call the ambulance. Or if you stabbed or you shot, we can keep you alive till the ambulance takes their 30 minutes or so to come get to you. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm pressed on time, and I didn't even know I was moving so quick. Land is the basis of power. Malcolm said revolution is based on land. Land is the basis of all independence. Land is the basis of freedom, justice, and equality. The white man knows what a revolution is. In order for you to have your land, you must train and equip. You want to make sure that you have folks that can defend your property. These some basics I'm not going to get into, but I want to say real quick as I close that as I look around the room, I can't do it like that? Okay. Hey, listen. Okay. What you say? I'm sorry. It was Asada we talking about? I'm tripping. That wasn't a. I love Asada. Don't get to. Go back 2 more? Okay. What happened? I was on the Frederick slide? Thank you. I told you I didn't know to work this damn thing. I got nervous. Anyway, empty demands will get you nowhere. We already know Fred Douglass's quote. What I was going to say real quick, as I look around the room, thousands of acres of land are in this room. Am I wrong? Thousands of acres of land are in this room, or we're connected to even more, right? But you have to do more than just growing, right? We have to build municipalities, right? We have to train. We have to organize. We have to get people living on this land, right? We have to be able to defend this land. Because as Baba pointed out, yes, they will come for it, right? You're not just going to be, saying I got 70 acres and it's not going to be challenged. We still live under the empire, right? So I just want to remind you all, as we move forward, hook up with some of your comrades or some people that are organizers that have the ability to bring us together and move us forward. Because as the preacher used to say, it's getting late in the evening. I appreciate my time with you all. I hope I didn't bore you to death. I'm grateful, gratitude, and I pray that we win. Good? Appreciate you, Bob. Thank you so much.